Hello and welcome to the first ever It's Not podcast from the team at TechRadar. My name's James Peckham and I'm here with Mark Chatsfield.
Hello.
And Gareth Beavis.
Bonjour.
So this is the first podcast from TechRadar.
It is.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about tech each week. We're going to talk about one subject to start with. Really, that's going to be the main focus of it.
Yep.
We all agree?
Yes.
All happy with that?
We are great.
Cool. So this week we've seen stuff about the Pepsi phone. Pepsi is making a branded phone. That's really strange, isn't it?
We got the exclusive on what's actually happening from
Well, yeah,
Pepsi.
that's true. Yeah, we did actually.
We
Yeah.
did get the exclusive, but maybe other people went with another non.
We're underground.
Let's forget
We're
that.
underground. But yes, we did get the exclusive saying that Pepsi is getting a phone in China. I looked at the specs. I must admit that you know more about phone specs than me. Is it a decent phone or is it just a rubbish branded knockoff?
It's somewhere in between the two, isn't it? I think it's a decent-ish phone. I don't know who's going to buy it.
I was kind of surprised by the specs actually. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was, but
Yeah.
I also don't understand why you buy a Pepsi phone.
Why Pepsi?
Are there people who love Pepsi that much that are just going to come along and be like, it's got the logo on it, I love it?
I also can't think of anything other than having the Pepsi phone for my next phone now. Like now I've thought about it so much. I'm like anything else will pale in comparison to a phone with relatively average specs and can only buy it in China.
So we need to get this in for review then. Just for you.
100%, yeah.
Will it be as good as the Photoshop phone that we had on TechRadar though? That's the thing. Have
Probably
you actually seen
not.
Actual images of it? Is it
The what?
The Photoshop version.
That we made.
did
So
for TechRadar.
I thought Adobe made a phone.
Yeah, a Photoshop phone.
No, well, we basically put buttons on a can, and you can't beat that.
Why
That is the
not?
best.
I would like to see a phone
Yeah, exactly.
shaped as a can
Yeah.
with buttons on.
With actual liquid inside that you can crack open and have a drink.
So just a one-off, really.
One use phone. It's a
2
burner. It is basically a burner.
Yeah, but for 2 years you've got to really decide when that moment is. You're like, I'll pay for this for the next 24 months, but when I'm really the most thirsty, that's when I'll go for it.
Yeah.
So why China? Well, is there a place that Pepsi's popular? Why not a Coke phone? What's going on with it?
Well, first of all, we've had Coke phones
Yeah.
already,
Okay, yeah.
and secondly, I think it's a place where you can make phones very easily. You know, in
Right.
terms of loads of different brands and loads of different, white label brands who will just make anything at one point. That's what China's there for. You can really make some really good stuff based on Android with some decent specs.
Yeah, we're not sure who's actually making it. It is a Chinese company that are making it, and then
Okay.
Pepsi is sponsoring it on top. They haven't actually revealed who is actually making the actual product itself.
Or why?
Or also why.
And I guess it's going to be a limited edition. You're only going to have it for a few months and then it'll be off sale. Is that kind of how it's going to work, do you think?
They
No.
haven't said.
No, you think it's going to be there forever?
No, I
We're
think
going to get updates to the Pepsi phone, the Pepsi Max.
yeah, exactly. Well, now you've taken the joke that I had ready, so thanks.
This is why you shouldn't ready jokes for podcasts.
Yeah, the phablet version would be the Pepsi Max, fine. Yeah.
Good. No, I like
Pepsi
that.
Raw would have been the kind of a wooden version.
Raw?
Yeah.
Is it raw?
Yeah, Pepsi Raw before.
No, never
It's
heard
like
of it.
What is Pepsi Raw?
organic cane sugar kind of version.
Oh, okay.
Very limited edition, very high end. You wouldn't quite understand the cultural elements of it. So.
Fair enough.
Understand.
So what are the specs of this Pepsi phone? I'm putting you on the spot here now. Gareth Beavis, phones and tablets editor for TechRadar. I know it's got a 5.5 inch screen, 2 gig of RAM. It sounds like it's a pretty average.
I did know them, but I've entirely forgotten them.
Okay. Yeah. But that's not the point, is it? It's what it looks like.
Exactly, and it's the weirdness of actually Pepsi deciding to make a phone. Obviously, well, Coke did one back in 1999.
Yeah.
They sponsored
Good knowledge.
the Ericsson A108.
Are you reading that off a...
No, it's coming from my brain. It's coming from my actual brain. A1018S. One of our colleagues had one. Apparently, it was Kane Fulter's first phone. Our computing editor. He
Nice.
collected 50 pull rings from different cans, and he thinks he got it for free, but he's not certain.
See, I would get a Pepsi phone if it meant I had to
What?
collect something to get.
drank, I think it was 40 cans of Pepsi to get a Pepsi radio.
Wow.
And Superdrug.
I'm assuming you drank them all at once.
I did it over like about 3 or 4 weeks, and there was like an offer of 8 for I think £1.50 back in the day. It was
Right.
pre-1995 I think, and I collected all of them, put them on my shelf, and it took about 3 or 4 weeks, and I just didn't send off for it.
I had a special gold.
You just wanted to drink Pepsi, didn't you?
Well, no, I said I meant to. I just never got
Yeah.
around to sellotaping them to a piece of card and putting them in the post.
I got given a special gold yo-yo that had Coca-Cola on it, which I thought
Right.
was amazing, until I started to scrape it through, and on one side was Fanta, on the other side was Sprite, and they just sprayed over it with gold.
It wasn't real gold.
It wasn't real gold.
Wow.
It wasn't real Coca-Cola. It had Fanta and Sprite.
But they're owned by Coca-Cola, so
They are. That's true.
So it doesn't really matter.
But there have been other branded phones. So we've
Yeah.
had the Caterpillar phone, which for good reasons was called the Caterpillar phone because it was pretty durable and you could drop it from great heights.
We should have the Segway phone because that could be relevant to what you just did there.
Amazing.
And we also had the Marshall Amp phone quite recently as well,
Yeah.
which was meant to be very music focused. So there have been other kind of limited edition phones around.
Yeah, branded phones are a big thing for people. They're what really make, they make luxury brands look great. Aston Martin have just done a phone. It's the very odd thing. I think it was Puma did a phone that was insane because it wasn't very good.
You say about Aston Martin, obviously there's always been James Bond kind of branded stuff as well, isn't there? So branded does seem to work on it. Even though it's a bit weird seeing James Bond use a Sony Xperia or
I think it was T2 in Skyfall.
Yeah.
It was really it was so out of place because it's like one of their mid-range phones that James Bond's using. Surely he'd have the best kind of thing in his hands. But
and drink Heineken.
Yeah. Really, with the label facing the camera.
So that's essentially
So what other brands would you want to see sponsoring a phone?
Can't believe he's asked us this. I'm sure you've got a few.
First thought, Smirnoff Ice phone.
Nice.
Right.
Why?
Well, the reasoning is pretty clear. I want two versions. One's clear and one's whitey cloudy. Not sure what that is. But it's mostly because I want to see the Judder Man back. I love the Judder Man.
That was for Mets, not Smirnoff Ice.
No, it was not. It was 100% for Smirnoff Ice Black.
I don't think it was.
It was.
You need to Google it.
Beware the Judder Man when the moon is
I remember
It's
that.
definitely Smirnoff Ice Black.
Okay.
It is.
I have no idea what you guys are about.
You're quite young.
Okay.
Yeah. This would have been about 1999, 2000-ish time. Just before I went to university because, So
you were paying attention to Smirnoff iPad.
Exactly.
Smirnoff Ice Apples.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was thinking, do I want Hooch, Bacardi Breeze or a Reef? And I thought, you know what, I want a Smirnoff Ice Black. I actually spent a long time when I was working in a bar trying to make a black on black, which was a Guinness, half part of Guinness in the bottom and then use a spoon. No, other way around, sorry. You put a Smirnoff Ice in the bottom of a glass and you put a spoon and you pour the Guinness on top of it.
Okay, that sounds horrific.
But the Smirnoff Ice stayed there and the Guinness floated on top, so you had two different...
Any drink with something floats on top, something you don't... Unless it's a Coke float, but...
Yeah, true. But then I made that and it took about 15 pints of Guinness and 15 Smirnoff Ices. I got in trouble.
I feel like we're veering away from the technology aspect of this, so I'm gonna go in with the McDonald's monocle. I think it would be nice to have a monocle that's shaped like a Big Mac.
Okay.
Why not? Let's go with that.
So a smart monocle?
No, I just went for things that kind of
you didn't
went
really
together. I didn't really think it through as much. I've also got the Stella Segway. So
Stella Segway?
Yeah.
See, I was thinking Harley Davidson Segway.
Yeah, I went with S&S because that's the way.
You veered away from the question here.
I've also got the Durex drone, so they fly in condoms.
Okay, I'll take that one. That one is brilliant.
Lego laptop.
Where would you take?
Just throwing them out here.
Back to the Durex drone. Where would you take those?
You wouldn't take them out. You kind of summon them if you're in a situation and it's.
Oh, okay, right. I thought you were.
So is that sort of thing? Like something happens.
I thought you were going to go to nightclubs full of like horny people.
Yeah, I've not thought that through. Maybe you need to market it more.
Oh, you could just have a man doing that.
Some of the bag of condoms.
Yeah.
I mean, how long will the drone take though? I mean, how long can you keep?
Again, I've not thought it completely through.
I mean,
Well,
you're going for iteration. Really,
Amazon are doing it in like an hour or so maybe.
Exactly. Like, if you can
You
wait
could
an hour,
probably wait an hour.
then
Can you?
I don't know in that situation. Again, need to think about that. And then my final one was Hoover headphones. So.
You just went with alliteration.
Yes, I did. So this is what I'm saying.
I thought about the reasoning
right.
behind mine. You just went with words that sound like words.
No, there is a reason because it sucks the noise out of the stereo into your ears. That's what I put on my thing here.
I'll give that to you.
Yeah. So
That's fair
okay,
enough.
there's reasoning there.
Right.
So none of those were phones.
No. I thought it was Cashless. So just
That's fair enough. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
alliteration.
Okay. Any more phones from you, Gareth? Any more ideas?
No, I had other ideas, but they were just me trying to be clever. I wanted the FIFA phone.
FIFA. Okay.
Yeah.
Alliteration again.
No, I wasn't because I wasn't going down this guy's route. But I was thinking something along the lines that it would just every so often just give you money for no reason that was based on some sort of contract.
Oh, look at that.
But
You
you,
know,
can never get rid of it. That would be the problem.
Exactly. It's like a pay-as-you-go phone. That every so often it's like you've got £1,000 credit. You're like, oh, it's for work I did it 20 years ago. It's fine.
I thought you were on about like a fancy football phone. That'd be quite good. It's just dedicated to fantasy football.
Our phones do that already.
Yeah, it pretty much is our phone. Is that we don't use it to phone people anymore. It's to play fantasy football.
When we were discussing in the office, we said Domino's phone, Domino's pizza phone.
Yeah.
So you have an app installed on there with a big red button right in the middle of your home screen. Slap that and a pizza turns
No, but
up.
they can make that already. They can an app. For that. Domino's Pizza has an app for one, and two, they could just put a red button on it.
Okay,
It's the-
big
it's the
red
Amazon
hardware
Dash.
button on the back. Bam. Pizza.
Okay, now you're thinking.
And then it goes in your pocket and you press it and loads of pizzas turn up at your door. That could be a problem.
Great day.
Yeah.
That is the Amazon Dash essentially. You want that for the phone. That makes sense.
That's true. And every
Yeah.
time we bring up the Amazon Dash in the office, I always rip it for being a ridiculous idea.
And now
So-
you've come up with
and-
Amazon Dash style phone.
Okay, right. I think I want some Amazon Dash buttons now.
But not for personal.
Yeah.
For Domino's.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the other topic we wanted to discuss today was Sweden. Just Sweden in general.
Yeah.
What do you think about Sweden?
I've been to Sweden once, and I knew one building in Sweden before that, and I went to that building just by chance. Key truth.
I've got no Sweden facts.
Okay, right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, we really wanted to talk about how they are becoming a cashless society. So we've run an article on the site which has done really well. Yesterday, was it? I think it was yesterday. Which is basically the Stockholm KTH Royal Institute of Technology submitted a report saying that cash is becoming less relevant in Swedish society. So, do you think that will ever happen in the UK? Do you think the UK will ever truly become cashless?
I don't think Sweden will ever become cashless.
Mm-hmm.
Not according to our headline.
But no, it won't though. I mean, there'll always be some denomination of it because it just has to be that way. It's the basis of what we're built on. And the great thing about the article was it pointed out at the end that there are people that are vulnerable, the homeless, the elderly, people that aren't engaging in technology in the same way or haven't got access to it. This will become irrelevant to.
That is the key. It is, if you take away cash, then you are hampering some people within the community. But we are more and more going towards a contactless world, aren't we?
Yeah.
I hardly ever have change in my pocket now because I'm
Yeah.
just constantly tapping my card on things and then
Exactly.
crying at the end of the month when I see the results on my
And there's Apple
bank
Pay,
account.
there's Android Pay, there's Samsung Pay, LG apparently working on a payment system. Everyone wants in on it, but a lot of people don't have those devices.
But it's different. This is what you're saying here is we're talking about the difference between real and digital money, and the key difference really there is that you can talk about all the different kinds of payment systems there are still just people using their card. I mean, it's just different ways of using your card. That's all it is. And there's questions about what happens economically, like inflation. If the whole idea of inflation is printing more money and that kind of thing, that can't happen because it's all locked digitally and it then becomes linked to inflation itself. And will that change how we run economically?
And what about plumbers?
What about
Just throwing it in.
Key question.
No, some plumbers, not naming names, might want to do a job cash in hand. You can't do that with a cashless society.
So not just plumbers.
Well, rookies, people that just don't want to
Tradesmen.
pay, people that don't want to pay VAT and just want to give you a cheaper deal.
So you're worried about the criminals.
They're not criminals. I'm worried that is definitely a healthy
the real
way.
victims
Yeah,
of
the
this
real
cashless
victims of
society?
this cashless society, yes. But the with charities, they have had charity tins that have got contactless cards on there and stuff like that now. So I think everybody's moving towards the kind of technology side of not having cash, but actually not having cash isn't ever going to happen.
But I think the charity thing's a really good one because you've seen things like add a penny to your travel.
Yeah.
That really mounts up, and it's stuff like that can really it gives you that little bit of extra sensitivity when it comes to donating that en masse becomes a really big thing. But you don't have to just sit there and decide exactly how much you want to take out your wallet and put into a collection tin because it's just fraught with different levels of emotion about how much should I do? Should I
tipping as well? So that's another one that I always feel bad if I have to put the tip on the card because you kind of think they're never going to get that. Yeah, and it is they want the coins in the tin rather than on the contactless cards.
Do your waiters have tins?
I was thinking of that metal tin that they obviously force money.
I'd miss real money as well. I think I'd actually miss having money in my wallet.
The taste of
you
pennies.
would miss making it rain, wouldn't you?
Yeah, literally. I would miss making it rain. But I would miss actually having coins in my pocket. I think I know that sounds really stupid, but I'd like having.
Well, no one likes coins in their pocket. 50.
Yeah, can you explain what you'd miss? What the weight of?
I don't know. Just like
balance.
The balance, yeah.
I think that's probably what it is.
Are you weighty one side?
Yeah, I put different pocket to balance out the weight of my phone. That's what I do. I put the coins in the other pocket.
Yeah, well, you're rich enough to do
this. We said no running jokes in this. Yeah, so
it's not a running joke. You're just rich.
I I'm not rich, listeners.
Well,
Cool.
that's gold water. So
gold water right here, yeah, right that I'm drinking right now.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So should we wrap this one up?
Yep.
Yeah. I think we should.
Going so well.
So give us some comments on what you want to see next week on our YouTube. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to the listeners.
Oh right, I have no comment. What do I want to see? I want to see the people.
If people listen to this in isolation, they'll be like, "This, I can't tell this was the first one." It feels
So
completely well
sick.
produced and everything.
Yeah, definitely. You can listen to it on SoundCloud. You can also listen to it on YouTube. Give us some kind of hint if you want it on other services, RSS feeds and iTunes. That'd be
let
great.
us know about the title of it.
Yeah, so...
And the people and the content, and just generally if it should continue.
You can't judge it on the first episode like that.
Well, that's what people like to do. So. Give them a fair
Tell
voice.
that to our commenters.
Yeah, that's true. So be sure to check out the site as well, techradar.com. Check out our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and our Instagram page, all under TechRadar. And we'll see you again next week.
Well done for nearly forgetting the title of the site. Well done.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.
Oh.